Hi, friends, and happy Friday to you. Wow, what a week. Thank you so much for joining us today. And of course, it's awesome to see you, Greg. How are you today?
I am doing good. It is good to be here. And yeah, hello, everyone. It is, back to our Friday time, or I guess we did Friday before. I don't know. It's Friday today. That's the most important part of that. So we are here. And yeah, it's exciting to be here for another episode of The Loop. Always appreciate, everybody who tunes into the show and hearing from everyone. So it's going good over here. I can tell you that.
I love it. Well, we are live, like Greg mentioned, and we are so delighted to end the week with all of you. So if you're joining us live right now, do jump in, say hello. For those of you who are brand new to the show, a big welcome to In the Loop with Winnie and Greg. I'm Winnie's son, longtime financial pro, CNBC council member, Forbes contributor, and host also of Level Up, which can also be found on NASDAQ and other platforms. And of course, my esteemed co-host here, the one and only Greg Nibbler. Greg, you got to bring it down because I know you've got a lot of stuff going on right now on top of everything you've done. Maybe you could do a quick intro.
Yeah. So for everybody tuning in, Greg Nibbler, longtime tech reporter. So I've covered tech for many years. And I love talking about that. I'm going to talk about some of that today too, but I'm also a podcaster. I also am a reporter and producer for Fox 12 Oregon here out of Portland, Oregon. So I've got a show on there as well that is actually just kind of getting underway. So I'll be talking about that more over the next couple of weeks. But yeah, so a lot of stuff going on, but I get to talk about a lot of cool things to a lot of cool people and a lot of interesting things to cover. But today I'm going to be talking a lot about Google. So Google is really the dominant thing, I think, this week when it comes to technology. So we're going to be covering that, and I'll give you kind of the recap of what they announced. But then I want everybody's opinions, because that's what I always love to get, is what do people think about all of this? Is it something interesting to you? Do you dislike what the announcements were? Whatever it is, just drop your comments in. And since we're live, we can take those right as you do them. So whatever platform you're watching on, however you're finding us, let us know what's going on. We always love to hear about it. So that's what's coming up for me here in just a little bit.
Amazing, Greg. I'm so glad you're going to break down Google because I saw that trending on social media and I've been reading a lot about it. And I know they've got some really cool developments. So we're going to definitely stay very, very close to that before we jump in there. But let's say a big, huge hello to Sadiq joining us on YouTube Live. A treat to have you there. Patricia Sommer, awesome to see you on Facebook Live. Always a treat as well. Vicky joining us also. Vicky Garvey joining us on YouTube Live. Wow, lots of friends. A very big audience with us today. We are grateful to have you here. I'm going to kick it off, Greg, if that's okay. We go and talk about how the market closed. Hasn't closed yet. It's still, I know Fridays are a little fun because we're actually going live and the market's still open. Well, let me just say that it's been a very choppy week this week, and today is no different. Today is definitely a difficult day. So far, the Dow is down 147 points. Yikes. And the NASDAQ is currently also down 96 points. The S&P 500 is also currently down 24 points. So currently, everything across the board is red. And so we are still fighting concerns about inflation, which has improved a little bit. That was reported this week, but also a lot of, bank concerns with bank runs. And of course, the federal debt ceiling. So the government's, not keeping a great balance sheet. And let's see if the two political parties can come to a conclusion, and so we can avoid the government shutdown. But it's not looking so good. Some of the news coming in is not very promising. But we're going to segue over to a big story. You may have heard this yesterday. Let me just tell you, when this news came out, my phone was like blowing up. I was getting tweets. I was getting texts like crazy. I was getting voicemail. They're like, Winnie, did you hear? There is a new CEO is coming to Twitter. And most importantly, who is she going to be? That's right. So Elon Musk announced yesterday on Twitter that he will officially, I don't know how official this is, but he's going to be stepping down as the technical Twitter CEO, right? And this he's going to transition, he says, to more product and a more technical role. And the new CEO at the time yesterday was an unnamed woman. Now, that's changed. In fact, right after it was announced, about an hour later, I saw financial news. We seem to know what's going on in financial news really, really quickly. The news started coming in of who they thought was going to be taking over. And I'm going to share that news with you in just a second. But during that time, Tesla shares definitely moved. And, there have been a lot of concerns from Tesla investors about Elon sort of divided attention between Twitter and the EV car company, amongst other companies that he's running as well. So here's what we know so far. Greg and I have been talking about this. Greg, you and I were talking about, like, we want to make sure that we got this news accurate. So, yes. So MSNBC's, so NBC Universal's ad chief, Linda, Greg.
Yaccarino.
There we go. Linda is going to be the next Twitter CEO. Surprise or not surprise, Greg? Because honestly, I was surprised.
Well, I'm as far as who she is and being picked for CEO, I didn't know anything about who he was kind of going for. So I guess for that part, definitely, I guess, a surprise, although anybody probably would have been. However, the surprise to me is that he's actually saying he's going to do it, that it's actually happening. Because I know he said this, last year, that he was going to step down and find a new CEO, and he did that whole poll thing, but they never really did. So I guess the fact that he did make an announcement is surprising. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know much about her. So I don't know as far as where her stance is and what she's done, if anything, with social media.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a lot of research to do on that and to figure out a little bit more about her. But there's a lot that's going to be on her plate. That's for sure. As far as coming into this.
Absolutely. And I can fill in some of that because I did do some research on her yesterday. And I thought this was very fascinating. Number one, what Vicky is saying too. She says Vicky is saying it's nice to see a woman take over at Twitter. I think that's really interesting. I think it's an interesting move by Elon Musk. As you know, under his leadership, a lot of core advertising businesses, or a lot of the businesses that were like what the top 100 advertisers on Twitter, a lot of them actually paused or even just stopped completely doing advertising on Twitter because of Elon's sort of offensive speech, hateful rhetoric. They just didn't feel like that aligned with their different promotional campaigns. And interesting enough, as you know, just recently he announced, Tucker Carlson, I apologize. Tucker Carlson announced that he's going to have his show on Twitter, right? Yeah. And obviously MSNBC is technical, or most people feel like it's on the other side of the spectrum of where Tucker is coming from. So this is interesting. Not only that, is Linda is currently running ad sales at NBC Universal and does billions of dollars of advertising business. In fact, right now is where they're launching. I think it's the next few weeks. They're actually doing this big launch for MSNBC, bringing advertisers together. And when she has a very lengthy and strong, I guess, reputation in advertising. And so this is interesting because a lot of people were projecting perhaps they would bring an executive in from Facebook or whatnot, someone who's run a social media company before, but her strength is in bringing in the money and in advertising. So that's the direction that Elon Musk looks like he's going towards. He probably feels that he can, take care of the technology and that stuff, but I think it'll be interesting to see how long she stays at Twitter.
Yeah. Well, and can you manage that and make it attractive to advertisers? Because like you said, all these advertisers left because they felt like it was becoming a place that wasn't good for their brands to be associated with, with some, especially some of the stuff that even Elon has said. So for her to come in from that kind of financial standpoint to build back those partnerships, that means he's going to probably have to knock off some of the stuff that he has been doing or make some changes to make it attractive again for people to come back on and advertise. And will she be able to do that? Will she be able to convince him that, okay, no, we can't do this, or maybe you shouldn't post this kind of stuff just if we want to make some money and not have, because regardless, he's still going to be very much associated. It doesn't, even if he's not CEO, it's still Elon Musk. Like he'll
No,
still be
yeah.
the public face of the company, no matter what no matter what he says.
And
So
will he be comfortable letting her lead? I mean, that's a big question. We
yeah,
saw with
yeah,
Mark Zuckerberg, right, with Sheryl Sandberg, that was actually a really great partnership that they had. They worked well together for many, many years. Are they going to be able to bring that sort of dynamic to Twitter? Do you feel that for those of you who are watching, I'm curious to see, how do you feel about that? Do you feel that this will be a CEO in name only? Or will Elon really follow her lead, like Red mentioned? He's gonna have to tone it down if
yeah.
it can't just be like some star ad, seller from NBCU. She's got to be able to probably make some changes beyond just bring advertisers, hopefully.
Yeah, she may have the connections, but that doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily just be like, "Oh, okay, we'll just buy Twitter ads now." Nothing's changed. I mean, it's changes are going to have to happen, or some
Right.
kind of answers, or some kind of accountability. Most likely, just in the fact of, you know, a lot of the hate speech that's on there. That's probably
Right.
going to be a lot of it. Some kind of moderation may have to come back, more than they're doing right now with the 3 people or whatever Twitter has left working for them. Trying to manage that. I would think that that's probably going to be a priority.
They're
Um,
probably a priority. And not only that, let's just say, like,
my guess. I don't
yeah,
know.
and she's coming from NBCU, which I've had a chance to work with a lot of folks from the NBC community. I mean, talk about a well-run company who's very much in line with DEI issues, being very inclusive, right? And like they really do take very good care, or like their reputation, they take very good care of their employees and their differences. And it just seems culturally, it's an interesting mix of coming from a NBCU, and not only that, a much bigger entity, right? Much bigger company, probably much bigger, um, I guess, bill expense accounts and everything else,
Right.
to a company where you gotta be like hardcore 2.0, like some of their employees even sleeping on the floors of. It just seems,
Yeah.
it seems interesting. Like I think we're seeing some great comments coming in. Sadiq is sharing like, is this going to be sufficient for investors, advertisers to buy? Really great comment. And then
Yeah.
Vicky is saying, fingers crossed, longer than a week or two. Yeah, I mean that's a great point. And then
Yeah.
Patricia is saying these boardroom conversations are they're going to be interesting. Patricia, you absolutely are right there. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean,
I
I
wish
think
we
that
could hear.
one other thing too you mentioned, I didn't even think about that. But the Tucker Carlson doing his show on there, because regardless of what you think about him, that's probably going to be one of the most watched things on Twitter because of the audience that he has that will go wherever he goes. Is that going to be good for the advertisers for bringing in advertising onto the platform? I mean, I don't know. Well,
Yeah.
I guess it all depends on what kind of show that is. But if he's unfiltered and not answerable to anybody, I mean, I feel like that could also work against them when it comes to bringing in advertisers.
Right. So I'm hoping in this case, it's not just, paying her well and perhaps giving her company stock. I don't know what the deal is. I have no idea what the compensation is, but
Yeah,
I'm hoping she's not CEO in name only, and that he really listens to her, and that obviously she knows what advertisers want and don't want. And hopefully things can get a little bit more normal, because a lot of people have left Twitter. A lot of really great people have left Twitter, and
yeah,
hopefully this will give them a chance to come back. Because we've even seen, like, I just jumped on Blue Sky recently, and I've seen a lot of people who are very prominent on Twitter are now on Blue Sky.
yeah.
So I think the timing is good. And let's segue to another story, Greg. I want to share with you on this too. This is sort of in line with that as well. So Adidas, as many of you know, Adidas has been in the news this year as well in 2023. The whole deal about Kanye West. Now, some of you, like Kanye, maybe you don't like Kanye, maybe you like his music, but thought he was a little interesting. Well, here's the thing. Adidas plans to sell its stock of unsold Yeezy shoes. These are the shoes that were, I guess, designed by Kanye West. And they plan to donate the proceeds to charity. This is according to Adidas' CEO, Bajoran Gilden. And the decision was made after they cut ties with the rapper fashion designer Kanye West, formerly known as Ye, due to, as you may know, his anti Semitic remarks. Totally, I almost feel like Adidas was kind of slow in making this decision, but nonetheless, they did make this decision. So they were trying to figure out what to do with these unsold sneakers. according to the report, we're talking like $1 billion worth of sneakers. So I guess what they're going to do is they're going to sell these off and they're going to donate them to charity, specifically to organizations. I guess I've been reading different things. They said they're still going to try to figure out which organizations these will be, but I guess there was a class action lawsuit against Adidas by investors who claimed that Adidas was fully aware of Kanye's, behavior before cutting ties, and so they're talking. This has cost Adidas about $1.28 billion in revenue, and a lot in operating costs. So these monies that they generate from selling these shoes are hopefully going to causes that were damaged or felt, just insulted based on Kanye's comments. So, did you see this, Greg? I thought that was good news.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's good that the shoes aren't going to waste either. That they're not
Right.
just going to get rid of them. I mean, they're made shoes. They should go somewhere. Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably the best thing they can do right now. So selling stock, yeah, is to do that and just make it a whole charity thing. They could probably business wise. I'm sure there's some kind of a write off part there too. I would imagine, but yeah, I mean, you got to do something with that because that whole Kanye thing really hurt them, and the potential lawsuit there, or them knowing of Kanye's quirks or whatever his behavior is craziness at work. I mean, you would think they probably did know about it. I mean, he's pretty public with how he is, so yeah, that could be some trouble in there too. But yeah, that's a good thing. At least the shoes are going to get out there, and that money's going to get donated.
Right, because if they're getting destroyed, we were talking about destroying them, or
Yeah,
just like
that seems like a
not
waste.
good. Yeah, waste, go to land for it. That's just not good. At least have some use for them. So that's good. So my next story, Sadiq, Vicky, and Patricia, and of course Greg. I think this is kind of a great segue for what Greg is talking about. But I want to talk about Wendy's. Now, for those of you who are here in the United States, and maybe Vicky, when you visited the United States, you had checked out a restaurant called Wendy's, which, as you know, is a fast food chain. I guess they sell hamburgers. I haven't been to Wendy's in ages, to be honest with you. But their CEO, Todd Penegor, has discussed that they're going to be bringing in AI partnership with Google to bring in potential additional technology changes to their drive-through. So the next time you go to Wendy's, specifically, I think they're only rolling out on like a certain test markets so far. But when you go to these certain Wendy's, they're going to be featuring sort of automated voice from a digital monitor, which they say will provide a seamless ordering experience for customers. Now, if you've ever been through a drive-thru, you know this can sometimes be a struggle, right? Sometimes they can't hear you, sometimes you can't hear them, sometimes you got to repeat your order a gajillion times. They're hoping to make this process a little better by using AI technology and speed through the process, which hopefully will benefit both customers and, of course, their employees. So Wendy's is going to be modernizing their restaurants and this driving innovation with initiatives such as smarter digital menu boards and personalized menus, which I almost feel like I need to go check this. I'm thinking this is something, Greg, you're going to check out. But so far, it's only going to be piloted at a select location in Columbus, Ohio. So if you're in Columbus, Ohio, and you're watching and you go through this, definitely take a picture and tag Greg and I, because we like to see what this looks like. Maybe even make a video. I don't know, Greg. What do you think? This sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a good use case of AI. I mean, it is true if you've ever gone through a drive-through. I don't know why intercom technology is so far behind the times, but it doesn't matter where you go. It never seems like it works properly and nobody can hear each other. So yeah, I think that's, this is probably what we're going to be seeing a lot of as AI is incorporated into more, business and commercial use cases. That, yeah, having it take over some of these jobs. Probably, I'm going to guess some of the personalization. I can guess that maybe even could recognize your vehicle, or you'll have some kind of a way so it'll recognize who you are and have like, oh, do you want to reorder your, cheeseburger or milkshake that you always get? Or would you like something else? It's probably going to be that kind of personalization stuff. I mean, you can throw in some advertisements on there. Like there's a lot that they could do with this if this works properly.
I love your perspective, Greg. That's so true. It would be really cool, right? If you had your favorite orders like tagged to your vehicle, and they could just when you drove in it. That I love that idea. So yeah, Wendy's is saying they're going to expand store hours, and especially like sort of that late night crowd, like when you feel like the munchies, you can drive. I think this is great. I love when companies sort of take that stance of technology. I loved how when like Sam's Club, they started doing this thing called Scan and Go, which there's a lot of different companies I think that have the opportunity to make changes. And the fact that Wendy's is teaming up with Google, that can only be a good thing, right?
I mean, I don't know how the employees feel about it or how that side of it is, but as far as the technology, just looking at it from that way, yeah, I mean, that's a big company. I mean, Wendy's has a lot of locations. So if they did implement this everywhere, you'd certainly, I think, see other fast food restaurants trying it out too. So I wish if I was near Columbus, I would definitely go through this just to see how it works. So yeah, again, like what he said, if you're in Columbus, go through the drive-through right now. Go get some Wendy's for lunch.
Yeah, and if you know someone in Columbus, tag them so they can tell us too. So
Yeah.
we can get. I want to say a big welcome to Dr. Leroy McIntosh. McIntosh, I think, Dr. Leroy, joining us on LinkedIn Live. Thank you so much for joining us on a Friday. Such a treat to have you here. But Greg, tell us about Google. What's going on there?
All right. So Google's I/O Developers Conference happened this week, or is happening. They may still be doing some stuff today for the developers. But we got a lot of stuff. Definitely AI, a lot of AI. We're going to talk about AI. Keep saying AI over and over. But we do have some new products. And these had kind of been leaked out ahead of time, like most products end up doing, except for Apple for some reason. But we did kind of know this was happening. But we finally got to see a look at them. So we have some new hardware, some new phones to take a look at, and a new foldable phone specifically that is now coming out. So the Samsung, the Galaxy Fold and the Flip Z, Fold Z, those have been out for a while. Now we have Google with their Pixel Fold. And so far, I haven't had my hands on one of these, but so far the reviews I've seen from some of the reporters who have is that, it's form factor wise, it's a little bit thinner than the Samsung one. It's ostensibly about the same for the rest of the stuff. I believe the screen may be a little bit smaller. I'll have to pull that up just to get the exact statistics on that part, but it is, it's another one that's coming in there. And it's been kind of funny with the foldable phones because, there's a few other companies that do have them out there. They're not as big in the United States, so we don't see them as often. I think most people just see the Samsung one. So this is now, though, a major company with it. I do like, they've got the front of it. You open it up, immediately opens up into that. As you can see the demo right there. Do all kinds of different things. Use the two screens separate. Use it as one giant screen. Incorporates all of Google's products. So you can do a lot with it. I think for, it's just kind of like the Fold for me, the Galaxy Fold. Do I have enough use cases for this to want to spend the money to get it? And that is one thing. It is not cheap. This thing is about $1,800.
Whoa.
Yeah. So it's going to be a lot of money, and the Galaxy is somewhere around there too. I think there's some different discounts you can get. They may have some specials for this coming out, but regardless, it's going to be an expensive device. So for that, it's got to be sleek. It's all got to work. It's got to work very well. You got to have all kinds of different things that you can do with it to make it worthwhile to have that. Things you would do, maybe you can't do with your phone right now. And that's really the combination of a tablet and a phone. So it looks cool to me. I like the look of it. I really do. Is it something I'm going to get? I don't know about that. I don't know. I don't know if yet I have all of the reasons to do it, but that's why I want to hear what people think too, because there's a lot more people now that do have the foldable phones or the flip phones. And I want to know what you think of this. Is this something, are you starting to see more reasons that you would want to get this? Winnie, what about you? Is this, I know they don't have it in Apple yet, but say that if this were an Apple phone, is it something that you would want to get?
I so love, Greg, how you like change that, like the question, because you hit it spot on. And actually, I'm seeing Vicky also saying Google flip phone. I like it. And wow. Yeah. So I will say this. I love that you asked that question, Greg, because I'm absolutely feeling this too. Because I do feel like, let's be honest, this is not your typical phone anymore. Like you said, it's a tablet phone. How great is it to have a tablet with your phone on it to be able to do, I saw, some Google Doc access there,
Yeah.
and then to be able to pick up phone calls and still do what you enjoy on a typical phone. 1800 is pretty steep. Now, if that came to Apple, do I think people would pay 1800 for it? Absolutely yes. I'm
Yeah.
not sure on Google whether enough people will pay for it. I'll be honest with you, because I do think with Android, it doesn't work as seamlessly as Apple. Apple has a lot of loyalists out there because of the ease and the ease of using the different technology. So um it'll be interesting to see if Apple brings this, but I do love the bigger screen. I love to be able to, I think, functionality wise, especially in this day where everybody's working hybrid or working from home and traveling
Mhm.
more, it is cool to have this in your pocket, no joke. But it's not for everybody. It's expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I do use Google Docs quite a bit for a
Me
few
too.
different, projects and organizations. So having an actual Google phone using it, I'm sure the experience is going to be pretty integrated into there. So that could be something I would that may become useful for me. Not $1,800 useful yet, but I like the idea. It's getting a little bit closer to what I would probably want to use. Um, let's see, I'm seeing Sadiq, the foldable technology is still developing because of screen problems, and that's true.
Mhm.
And that's going to be a big test here for Google is their screen going to work? Because if you remember when the Galaxy Fold first came out, the very first one, because they're on the fourth one right now. The first
Mhm.
one had a lot of issues and it was starting to break constantly. I remember at the time I was working with a mobile phone reviewer. So that's what he did for his living. And he got the Fold in there and it immediately fell apart. And that's for the one that's supposed to be reviewed for everybody to see. So, and they've worked that out a lot more now. It's much better now for that experience. Is Google there? Did they maybe learn or hire some of those Samsung people? I'm not sure about that part, but hopefully they've tested this out quite a bit. Otherwise, they could have some of those same issues that Samsung did.
Yeah, and 1800, Greg. I mean, is this
Yeah,
going to last at least 2 years, 3 years, 5 years? I mean, a lot of us, own our phones for more than 2 years, or and
yeah,
so with that fold, it just feels like, is this going to be? I mean, when you're talking about an $1,800 investment, you're
yeah.
not looking to switch this out every year. This is just not
No,
practical for like the typical household,
I
right?
mean that's a good laptop for that much
It's a
money. It's
good
like a really
laptop.
good laptop.
Yeah, you can get a MacBook Pro at that price, so
Yep.
almost, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you can, yeah, so that's a great point. So you could have, like, your standard phone, and then you could have a small, really powerful laptop. Do you need it all in one? But this is what I think this is one of those, like, this is probably something that they thought through and didn't think that everybody would buy it, that
Yep.
this is probably talking about that same group that buys, like, the Apple Watch Ultra, which I don't have. That really expensive where you're just
Yeah.
like, I can afford it, therefore I'm gonna have it. That type of group. Is it enough? I don't know if it's enough. I
Yeah.
if I was running this business, I would think that this is sort of maybe headline promos to sell the less expensive phones.
Yeah, which we're gonna get to that too. But yeah, and you're right. Is Pixel? Are there enough people using the Pixels right now to even want to go to oh, I want to upgrade my Pixel? And I do know a lot of people who do have the Google Pixel, and for the most part, it's a good phone. It works really good. They've got the great cameras on there. They do have pretty state of the art cameras when it comes to the Pixels. So because of their integration of all their software. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I like it though, in the aspect of I like companies pushing and trying new things, even though Samsung's been doing this for a while, but at least it's another company. And what comes next after this? How are they going to try to one up each other? At least it's more competition in that field. So maybe the price will come down and maybe we'll get to see some different iterations of foldable technology now that there's a little more competition. And again, not that there's not competition globally, but at least in the US side of things, I didn't see what Sadiq just said right there. I saw that pop up, but there are other companies. Chinese, Xiaomi. And Xiaomi makes some good phones too, but again, they're not here in this country at least, so we don't really get to see that too often. But yeah, I think it's good overall for consumers, whether you get this one or not. Eventually, this is good. More competition, the better. People pushing the envelope, and then we'll see where it goes. Apple will end up having one of these, by the way, but they will be waiting to see how everybody else does, just like they've been this whole time. And then when they come out, they'll have learned from everybody's mistakes, and everybody will, all those Apple hardcore fans, like you mentioned, Winnie, they will pay the.
Then I will get one because at that
they'll charge
point,
$2,500 and they'll still sell like 1 billion of them or something.
yeah, I mean, it just works so well. So, but it'll be interesting. Hopefully, like you said, this is good job for Google pushing an envelope, and hopefully the prices will come down and it won't be $2,500.
Yeah.
But having a phone that can be a tablet, talk about productivity. Very cool. Thank you, Greg, for sharing that.
Yeah. All right. We've got a couple other things here. So just looking at my list of Google things, we did have an actual tablet. So there is an actual tablet that did come out, the Google Pixel tablet, and they've dabbled in this realm before, and we'll have to see if this actually is something that's going to sell well or not. A lot of companies try to get into the tablet side of things, but Google, with this is kind of also going to integrate into their Nest system. So if you have a Google Home system of any kind, their smart home products or their Nest products, then this will also incorporate into that. And in theory, you can use it as a regular tablet. So if you're already heavily invested in that Google ecosystem, I think this could be something that could be valuable for you and useful. So as you can see right there, you do it kind of doing everything. And, that's kind of where it's at. That's good. There's not a whole lot to say about that, but I had to bring it up because it is something that they're pushing. And I think that's really going to be the audience for it, is if you already are using those other Google things, because as a tablet itself, I mean, we'll see, but it doesn't, from the reviews that I've seen so far, it doesn't seem like there's anything really wow factor on there other than that,
How much is it?
incorporates. What's that?
How much is it, Greg?
It is, hold on, I'm going to pull that up because I know the pre-sale, $500.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the financial person in me had to ask that question.
And that's right.
It looks nice, right? But if you're talking about limited features, because I know based on your description, it seems rather muted compared to some of the other tablets you've shared with us. So
yeah,
this is kind of one of those, I guess this goes in the same bucket of nice to have, maybe don't need.
$500 is a lot for
keep the money.
yeah. So that would be kind of my opinion on that. But again, I have not actually had my hands on it. But that's the other thing that came out. We also have a Google Pixel 7a. So this is the latest iteration of their phones. The phone itself, again, if you're already in the Pixel market, then this is something I'm sure they're going to be very interested in. Or if this is something that you want because it's the slightly less expensive one. But here are the things that I thought that were interesting to talk about this, and it's more incorporation of AI. So AI, there's a lot about AI that goes on with Google and every company right now, but specifically Google. And here's one of the things they said that they were bringing up. So these are called Pixel Call Assist features that are going to be on there. One is going to be called Direct My Call, and it brings up menu options to help you. So when you are like calling in or going to something, it'll give you menu options to get you to the right department quicker. If you're calling a business, so you don't have to search through a business, it'll do that for you. I don't know how often you'll use that, but that's one thing. Some better call screening, which that doesn't seem like that's a new feature. A hold for me, which waits on a line, so you don't have to, and notifies you once a representative is available. So instead of having to, put your phone and have the music playing while you're sitting there waiting, it will just wait on hold for you and then notify you. Nice. Yeah, that could definitely come in handy if you're stuck on, if you have to do a customer service call and you're stuck there waiting forever, that would definitely help. And then they're going to have some other things that will enhance voices and get rid of background noise, so it'll just sound better. And it'll also, and I don't know how they're going to do this, but they're going to give you estimated wait times. So if you do call a business and you're on hold, it'll tell you how long they think it's going to be that you're going to be waiting. I'm not sure how they calculate that, to be honest. But that's one of the things that they're going to have coming in with this too. It's just incorporating more of the AI that some of those features have already kind of been around, and maybe it's just repurposing them, but something else that they're adding in there for these Pixel users. Yeah, that's where we're at on that. Again, not super crazy, but so I can see some of that stuff being rolled up and expanded upon.
It's a great looking phone. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, nice looking phone, and it'll do everything that you need to do. So if you want to try out a Pixel, What's that?
How much is this, Greg?
This one is getting on here. Be available at $4.99. So,
Okay.
yep. So
Same as the
this is
tablet.
their answer to those mid-range phones. Not the full. Did I just hear it? Nice. Yeah. So this is their answer to those mid-range phones. The ones that are just a step down below the premium top end. So it's stripped back a little bit on some of the features, but $4.99 is, I mean, nowadays that's not outrageous,
Right.
especially if you're incorporating it into a phone deal anyway.
Hey, if you need a phone, it's a good looking phone. It does a lot. It's
Right.
from Google, it's
It does.
brand new.
You'll get the updates
Apple,
from Google too.
right. So it could be a good option. I'm guessing there's going to be a lot of deals on this particular phone and whatever Apple's going to release come the holiday season. So for those of you watching, this is a good chance to sort of scope out what's available. But maybe, just maybe, Greg, we would agree to hold on to your money until the end of the year, and let's
If
see.
you're an Apple person, definitely, but you'll have to wait till
Well,
September for the new ones of those.
right? So Vicky and we're holding off, right, Vicky? I'm looking forward to see what's coming in September. But so far, Greg, you've given us now a tablet that you're not sure about because you haven't tested it yet, but it looks nice. And you've told us about the folding phone, which I think is really cool. And then this phone. So yeah, it'll be fun to see what that whole AI thing. It's still very, very new. I love the fact that you said that we won't have to listen to the music when we're on hold. Let me just say, like, I feel like customer service chat is the best thing ever, right? Because you don't have to wait as much. But
yeah,
come on, Google, you got to give us more. I feel like they're going to give us more.
Well, those were the products that we had, and now there's probably some other stuff maybe behind the scenes that they were doing there with the actual developers, because this whole conference is for the people who are developing things. This is the side they give us for the rest of the public and be like, hey, here's some new hardware. And then they go in with all the developers and tell them how to program things. Part of that is with AI. And there is a lot of AI that Google is working on. As we all know, Microsoft is partnered with OpenAI, ChatGPT. At this point, that's almost a household name, whether people know what it is or not. ChatGPT is everywhere and being used for all kinds of things, constantly changing. And Google has been working on their side with that, with not only Bard, which is their one side, but they also have a new system called Palm. And I won't go too far into it, but there were a couple of highlights of it that I thought, are things that may become useful for everyone. One of them is, with Google Search, which is obviously the biggest search engine, as for the most part that people are using, and it's going to allow you to use what are called AI snapshots. So once you opt into this feature, this search generative experience, SGE, there needs to be a lot of marketing. People need to get involved and give these things some better names, but nonetheless, it's going to give AI powered answers. So when you search for something, like at the top of your search results, it's going to show up with, they'll kind of filter through what common queries are of what you're trying to look for, and we'll give you a snapshot of information. It'll give you follow-up questions to help you get the answers that you want a lot quicker than you do right now. That could help us all out. I think that could be a good thing. Seeing how that is instituted in there. There's also going to be all kinds of different things for different languages to implement, some of that Google translation services. There's also going to be a way for developers to generate, and this is according to them, generate text, images, code, videos, audio, and more from simple natural language prompts. So if you're a developer or a programmer or a web designer, graphic artist, whatever it is, you're going to be able to type in very simple commands and it's going to create all of that for you. We've seen little bits of this already in a lot of different places. There's different programs that can do this, but this seems like they're bringing in all of Google's stuff and trying to put it into one program that does everything. We'll see where that ends up. We'll see where that ends up and how useful it is once it gets in the hands of a lot of people, which is part of what this is about. But AI is absolutely going to be incorporated in more and more. You're going to see this all the time coming back.
I love this. Very, very cool. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, bringing in that sort of Google ecosystem, what they do really, really well, and then bring in AI intelligence to help make things even more efficient. I love this. Again, comment from Facebook, Razer phone coming back anytime soon.
Get a clean shave while you hope for the next person. The Razer is back. the foldable Razor phone. There's one that's out there with that. You can get one.
You can get one. Okay, good to know.
Um,
I think
yeah,
that's Bill joining us on Facebook Live. Great to see you, Bill. Yeah, it'll be really interesting. I think I love that. I think that ChatGPT definitely was such a big move for this year. I don't know. Ever since it came out, I actually spend more time in ChatGPT now than even Google. So I think Google probably has felt that impact across the board. And but Google can move and make changes very, very quickly. I've already found some
mhm,
limitations to ChatGPT. It'll be fun to see if Google can fix that
yeah,
void and take it to another notch. I have no doubt they will. So
yeah. I mean, by all accounts, they the whole Microsoft thing with Bing and OpenAI and ChatGPT put a big scare into Google, and they realize they have to start really focusing on AI too. So they're putting a lot of resources behind that, and with their kind of resources and money and talent pool, I'm sure, like you said, they are going to come up with something that's going to be good. Is it going to work immediately very well? Well, we'll all have to see. All
we'll
this is developing so fast with this incorporation of AI that
Mhm.
there's going to be some stumbling blocks on this, and where it's going to go is just so it changes like day to day. It feels like,
It changes
uh,
day to day. And there's
yeah.
so many small like entities like that do certain things, right? But I
Mhm.
think at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to money and it's gonna come down to who can deliver what we need the fastest. And let's be honest, it's probably going to be the major companies here that have the resources and the engineers and the experience and not on and most importantly, what you talked about before.
Oh, like either Winnie froze or I froze, and I'm not sure which one of us froze. So I'm going to continue talking as though that's me that's not frozen. Okay, it's Winnie froze. All right, thank you. I just got the confirmation. All right, so Winnie froze there, but yeah, again, we're talking about Google AI and just all the announcements coming from there. But yeah, how it's all going to be incorporated in, I think that's fascinating. I am always curious how people are using Chat GPT, how you're using those services. If you've tried them, do you have anything that you've found that works really well or has helped you out in your business or personal life? There's a lot of different options that are going to be coming out there. All right, since we're and Winnie's back.
Yeah,
So
sorry. That's what's called a live show.
yep,
That's what makes it
exactly.
live. Thank you so much, Greg.
All good. Well, I know we're almost out of time anyway, but I do have one other thing since I had to bring it in, and it's something that it's kind of creepy, but I wanted to talk about it anyway. It has to do with the robot.
Of course.
Uh, I've got one more robot here for this week, and this is a robot that is going to be able to go into your brain. So it's a brain robot, but it's for a good purpose. It's for a good purpose. However, it is kind of creepy. So comes from some researchers who figured a way. When people are doing brain scans or having some kind of an issue, a neurological issue, a lot of times you have to put in electrodes. Electrodes, you actually have to take out part of the skull to put that in to make that work. This is the idea of a robot that could do that with a very tiny incision and actually accomplish all of those things at the same time. So it's coming from, UC Davis Health. So this robot, Greg sure loves robots. I do, and then they scare me. This one's kind of scary until I read, who's actually using it and what the purpose is. So basically, with this tiny incision, this robot can go in and then spread out over your brain, and where you would normally have electrodes and holes that would be drilled in, this can actually go in and do this. It's a soft robotic material that makes it a much less invasive experience, invasive surgery, and can actually help with a lot of things. So we're mentioning things like epilepsy. So you could have one of these inserted that would actually be able to stimulate and work through that and maybe control seizures, control other neurological things. Who knows where you go along the lines with this, whether there's anything to do with bringing back mobility issues, but it's something that could really help out a lot. Yeah, and as a saying there, decrease wait times because you don't need as drastic of surgery to do this. So it could help out more people in the long run. It seems very creepy to think about putting a robot into your brain and having its little tendrils go everywhere, but the actual use case to help people, pretty cool.
That is so cool. And I see Joshua says, Joshua says you love robot. Joshua, it's great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us on YouTube Live. But Greg, I love this, right? Because
Yeah.
like I know my dad suffered for seizures for years. And absolutely, like they feel completely helpless. So
Yeah.
even if this is a creepy robot, I think that people who are dealing with brain injuries and elements, this is such a big thing. I'm just curious how big this is. Probably a teeny tiny robot. This is,
It-
it is a little freaky, but I think
yeah.
if it, if they can get it there and it can help people, wow, that would be absolutely the best way to use technology.
And that's the bottom line. I mean, it's, getting rid of drilling all of those holes that they have to do for some kinds of things. I mean, that's a horrible way to phrase it, but that is kind of what they're doing. This is less invasive, could help out a lot of people in the end. And yeah, it's incorporating the robotics that they have right there and decreasing wait times. I think that's huge. I mean, if you've ever tried to go in for any kind of a surgery or anything, sometimes that wait time is just ridiculous, and this could help out with that too. So
That's incredible.
could do some good things for people. So that was it. Robot sounded a little creepy, but it's actually for good. So that was the surprise ending.
We love it. We love we love your robot segments, Greg. We gotta say it, right? Carlos is here also on YouTube Live. I mean, I know you all love it. I love it. And we just want to see where technology is taking us. And we can follow these stories and sort of figure out where the puck is going and look and have something to really look forward to, Greg, as well. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for sharing this. Such great news. And yeah, what a fun way to end the week. And I want to just say so many friends are joining us today on live. We so appreciate our audience and our community here. You all are incredible. Your comments are so important. Yes, we got to give it up. We got to give it up to all of you. You guys are completely awesome. We appreciate you so much. Every single comment that you've shared, just like perfect, So keep it going. If you don't mind, if you see more things, got to say a big shout out to Sadiq, has been sending us some great content of things to be on our radar, as well as Jim Foose. He's been awesome too. Continue to do that. Send us a direct message, or you can post, just, make a public post and tag at Greg Nibbler, at Winnie's son, so we can see it. And if you do share our show, big shout out to Vicky Garvey, who always does this for us. Share our show. Make sure you tag us too, so we can properly thank you on our next show. I know, Greg, just awesome. And we're in the middle of May, and I know you have been working so hard on your show. We are so proud of you, and we can't wait to see where that takes you. But they are really lucky to have you, Greg. They are truly lucky, just like we are on this show too.
Well, thank you, Winnie. I am very lucky to be here working with you too. So I appreciate it so much. And pretty much everything you just said. Thanks to everybody who's tuning in and watching and commenting and sharing and supporting and all that. We really, really, truly appreciate it.
And with that, we're a wrap. We'll see you again next week, because we wouldn't be a good week without you. And if you see anything fun, let us know.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.